creativity than the other species. That's true. That is true, right? And we also have the capacity to consider our place in eternity, which it doesn't seem like other species can do.
Like you were saying, they can contemplate they might be killed in this moment if like a car is coming at them or if someone's, trying to hit them with a stick or something, but they can't really contemplate their existence in the totality of the universe when they're just like relaxing or whatever, like we can.
It's the only difference. And again, as the fact that both my cats have figured out how to open the French doors in the closet in my office study.
Yeah.
There is nothing in nature that does that. Nothing. There's nothing in nature that does that, right? I just wish they could learn how to fucking close it, goddamn.
I've seen dogs learn how to open the fridge and then close the fridge and get stuff out.
Right, but again, so this is not, again, that capacity indicates sequence of thought where they're figuring this shit out, right? I got mad at Big Boy because I had to change his goddamn breastplate duct tape thing to keep him from licking those fucking wounds again. They were almost healed, right? And then he licked them again and he opened them all up again. So I got pissed off and I was rough with him. And I'm ashamed of doing that, right? Particularly with his past with human beings, right? In any event, so the next day when I had to do it again and I closed all the doors, he was at the door going, wow. He was like, oh, shit, here we go again with Chris being pissed off at me, right?
Being tortured.
Yeah, so I was particularly gentle with him, and I started to, I took it off and I changed the dressing and put the Neosporin on, and he was purring, right? Now, part of that was to let me know it's okay, right? I'm okay, yeah? It was like the time that wasp was in the collar of my bathrobe that I put on to go to the hot tub, and I put on the bathrobe and I felt the sting. And it was like, oh, fuck, it's the wasp. So I dropped the robe, and he only stung me enough to get my attention. It wasn't a full sting, right? And I dropped the robe, and there he is on the ground, like going like this. And it's like, oh, fuck, right? So after he chilled out, I put my arm down, my hand down on the ground, and he climbed up my arm again and rested on my shoulder, which is where he likes to hang out, right? Well, that was a clear communication, right? Dude, you're killing me as you're putting on the bathrobe, but it's okay, right? So there was this, again, that was not instinct. You understand? That was a true expression of consciousness, right?
Because it doesn't sting you in a moment of when it's not in harm. It was only stinging you in a moment of like, oh shit, bro, I'm gonna get hurt, But
and
when it's not in harm, it doesn't.
Photograph of this of that wasp hanging out on my shoulder. He loved to hang out on my shoulder.
That's cool. No, it's great. And I hate to even say this because it's almost so redundant at this point. But there's a lot of people who they get terrified of these of spiders and bees and stuff, and they freak out and they make the situation a lot worse. And I think like bees, they're not there to kill you. They're not there to hurt you. And if you just kind of relax.
No, they're too busy getting pollen. No. They don't give a shit about us. But again, if you do this, then you're threatening their existence. And then again, if a bee stings you, a honeybee stings you, it dies.
Yeah.
Because it pulls the stinger out. So, it's like traditional martial arts. If they do that, they got to be really in the sense of threat, fundamental threat. Yeah. Which again is a mix of instinct and free will. Yeah. Just
Here's
like
a story that I love, and I think I've told you to you before, but I actually want to email you the video because I don't think you've seen it. The video is amazing, but this lady is she was a vocal coach for young children, teaching young children how to speak. She got a puppy, and she's noticed that he was showing all the signs of a young child trying to speak at an early age. So she devised this pad where each button said a word and was associated with a word like door, water, walk, ball, food, play. And now, I mean, the first time I saw this video, he was already stringing sentences together. Now he can do a whole paragraphs, and he talks to the water. He's like, bye, water, or like, he says stuff like that, and like, and he is so happy, he's like, yeah, when like it's so cool. He's like, we're going to swimming, and then when he leaves, like, bye water and like all this stuff, and like food, play, and like thank you. He even says thank you when he's done, and stuff like that.
Beautiful.
Yeah,
Gosh,
yeah. And
yeah,
it's a dog.
please send it to me.
I will.
Yeah,
It's incredible.
I'm going to bust you now. Your intonation said a lesser being,
Yeah,
right?
hi. And I think
Right?
I'm just doing that for people. If anyone's watching and they're like, dogs can't do this. Like, yes, they can. I think we all have the capacity to do this.
There was Coco the gorilla that knew 1,000 different signs.
Yeah. That's
So
incredible.
there can actually be conversations going on. And by the way, the comedian Robin Williams, the actor who killed himself, right?
Hi.
There's
Yeah.
a beautiful video of him hanging out with Coco the gorilla. It's just beautiful.
I'll
It's
check it
so
out.
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? Um,
Yeah, I mean, just chimpanzees and monkeys have always, been like, so eerily similar to humans that one hasn't been. I don't think it's been too hard for at least me or a lot of people to see the connection. But I think for like we have this weird hierarchy, but we've talked about this before, that if an animal is less like us, and less cute, it's definitely cute and similar to us, then it's like farther away from us and it's lesser than the other
oh,
ones. And
indeed. Indeed.
and it's
I,
based on those kind of artificial reasons. They're not like necessarily good reasons to create that hierarchy.
no, they're arrogant. They are arrogant. Again, like your friend, you know, my answer to him saying, well, the ants are cannibals, I would say, we're not talking about the ants, dude. We're talking about you killing the ants. Yeah. So let's stay with subject. Why in
Yeah,
fucking boredom are you killing a living being? Why are you doing that?
yeah.
Right. And if you
Well,
say their fault that you're killing them, that's bullshit. Yeah.
before me and him even got in the conversation, him and his mom got in an even bigger argument about it because
Good.
she's like, how are you my kid? Because she's like, what did I do wrong? Because
Ah, good.
he's a
Good.
he's a hunter. He likes to hunt and stuff, and he spends a lot of his time hunting and mostly for game. He eats it, of course, but he's
But
a
still,
hunter.
sorry. I mean, can't we transcend some stuff, please? I mean, can't we? Can't we?
Yeah, my friend Baker, he posted a picture of a deer, beautiful picture of a deer, and he's like, "This is my favorite way to shoot deer." And I was like, "Yeah, that's what we should all shoot deer."
Hi, hi, hi.
But I
And
mean,
this is more and more the norm. I mean, in the 40s and 50s and prior to that. But if anybody went on safari in Africa, in Kenya, for God's sake, it was to kill animals. Now there's hardly any of that.
yeah,
Except for the poachers, who are poor people trying to make a living, for
yeah.
Christ's sake.
I
Right?
saw I saw a good retort to somebody who was complaining about they had just killed a bear and then there was a video of the same town. The bears had walked straight past the people, past a whole group of people at the beach, straight to the lake, and it was like swimming in a lake right next to a bunch of people. And so they're saying that these bears, they're getting hungry, so they're getting closer to people. And then one person's saying like, oh no, these bears are, they're getting more invasive and they're getting, all these reasons for why.
They're getting uppity.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yes.
and and and
Yeah.
and what we have to do is we have to do all this stuff so it doesn't happen yada. And this person was as a very eloquent response, which I could not remember what he said for verbatim, but I'm gonna just do it. Basically what he said was like, we they are not coming into our territory. We have set our civilizations in their territory,
Right.
and now and we are pushing them farther and farther and farther away from their from each other, so they can't mate, they can't get food, they can't cross the highways to travel to new areas, so they're stuck in these little areas. They're stuck with minimal food and all. He broke it down really well and explained just like how we're the we are the
Right,
really the
right,
problem.
right. We are the intruders. It's
Yeah,
true. I mean, that bear territory's been bear territory probably for a couple of million years.
yeah,
You know what I mean? And then we come along, in the past 1,000 years and just fuck up the works. Well,
everything.
but we are changing as a group. It is true, and we are becoming more and more conscious of the fact that, that lovely video of the family in a pontoon, for Christ's sake, freeing a whale from a fishing net.
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
little boy stroking the back of the whale as the mom and the dad are freeing it from this net. It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. Just
Yeah, I
beautiful.
see some great videos like that every other day. But the one I saw recently was a whale got beached, but it's still alive. So the whole town came and dug it out, and finally somebody came with a tractor and they, dug a big trench, and everyone pushed the whale back into the water, and it went back. It was cool.
See, that is a beautiful use of lifespan right there. That is
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
you know what? The people who did that will never forget that, ever.
Yeah, that's a monumental moment.
Hi.
Yeah.
What a beautiful way for a human being to act. Yeah?
Right. Yeah. And teamwork too, and as a community.
Hi.
A community act,
And the outcome of that community expression was not benefit for humans.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which is really wonderful and kind
Yeah, it
of
doesn't do anything for humans. Well, I mean, yeah. So I don't know if I'm just looking too deep into this, but I've seen like literally in the past 2 weeks, I've seen probably 20 reports from all over the world of fish dying in mass, just in
right.
mass, like it,
By the way, just so you know, it's en masse.
on
En masse.
on.
En masse. Hi.
What is the
Not,
first part?
not, it's
Ah,
French. En
okay.
masse. En
En
masse.
masse.
Right?
Okay.
Hi. People will fuck with you about saying it like that, but that's the right way to say it, okay?
Hi. Hi.
Hi. Okay.
And so did I say it the
You said
Chinese
the
correct?
American way, en masse,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
which makes me jump up and down and spit blood.
En masse.
En masse. All right.
Yeah.
All right.
But
So
so
yes, dude. Yes, that is
it's
happening.
hitting
Yes.
us a lot faster than anyone wants to admit, and not you, obviously, not people who have been aware of this,
It's like, we're going to phase out carbon engines by 2030. It's like, Jesus Christ, okay. And again, but this is the way of our kind. And is there going to be like amazing suffering behind our lethargy in getting off our asses? Yes, not just to our kind, but all around the world, right? I still do think that as it becomes now as overt as it is, right?
Mm-hmm.
That now collectively we will get together. That's what happens. And I remind you again, and you can Google this to validate it, but, once we got on track with the holes in the ozone layer, right? And we phased out fluorocarbon aerosol, right? Now both of the holes in the ozone layer at the respective poles are closed.
Yeah, that's
so
awesome.
do it. Once we get our shit together and focus on a problem, we can solve it very quickly. Yeah. And I do think that's going to happen now. I do think that, unfortunately, we did wait about 15 years too long, right? Because of these stupid handful of people, right? And this is about the destruction of our planet. Yes.
Yeah. What they all say is, we're not going to be here. We're not going to be here. And like, that is just so absurd. It's like,
well, also that is cruel on a level that is, one of the naysayers who told me that the climate crisis was a 7-year cycle. I did stop in his tracks by saying, do you have any children?
Yeah.
And he goes, yeah, I have a daughter. And I go, okay, well, in the name of your daughter, let's talk about this a little bit. Okay. Yeah.
It's almost like psychopathy, but like, the old cultures around the world knew that you had to, maintain your area for the next generations, or else, there would be no next generations. It was not like rocket science. And then here, what did they say in Florida? Something was happening in Florida. I think it was the pumps. They're not, the pumps are going to stop working in the next 20 years. And when they asked what are they going to do about it, the guy said, we're not going to be here.
Yeah. See, once again, this is like, motherfucker, you need to get shot right now, right? Yeah.
Seriously.
No. This again is beyond selfishness. This is really evil. This is truly evil. It's the real McCoy.
Seriously.
Yes. Yeah. And again, what is the measure of evil, right? That other beings are impacted in a horribly negative way by your thoughts and your actions. That is the definition of evil. Yes. know? That being said, I do think that you know, with some terrible stuff going on, as it begins to. I mean, you know, California was one of the rendezvous for the rich because it's such a beautiful state. It was not anymore.
Yeah, and they're all moving away now.
It's not. You
Yeah.
know, people are leaving California in droves now.
Yeah.
That's happening, man. You know, um,
They just started back up their whole lockdown, everything. I just read yesterday that they're locking down everything again. There's a new variant that everyone's scared of. People are still dying because no one's getting vaccinated.
that's not
So,
true. That is not
well,
true. It's
not
not
I didn't mean to say that, because the
but so,
the
yeah,
people who didn't get vaccinated are dying. That's what I
basically,
meant.
it's the stupid Republicans are not. I'm sorry, but that's true. It is a designated population. Yes, it is. You know, at this point, it begins to be far worse than not okay because they are continuing the goddamn pandemic,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
Around the world,
Yeah.
around the world. Yeah. And I'm getting tired of reading articles about, somebody who's not vaccinated dying from COVID. The answer to that is you think?
Yeah,
No,
right?
no.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, it's not surprising, but it's heartbreaking. At
It's
least,
hard.
yeah.
It's hard. Again, this degree of stupidity and obstinance in the name of dying behind it, it's like, what? And these, we are assured by the Catholic Church, are entrusted with immortal souls. The answer to that would be why? Why?
I think
Right?
that's
Stupid to eternity?
maybe
Yeah.
you should correct me on this because I'm trying to I'm trying to work it out in my brain, but maybe that's why one, obviously, morals are important, are very important, but like a lot of people don't get taught morals ever. So maybe like that's a reason that like organized, so I'm saying organized specifically,
I understand.
organized religion is kind of good because
I,
it like keeps these crazy people kind of in line to a degree,
somewhat,
So
somewhat fenced in. Yes.
yeah, yeah,
Yes, that is the whole point. That is the whole point. Now, do they overdo it? Yes. Are the threats that go along with this extreme? Yes. How is it possible for God to be love, but according to the desert religions, if you fuck up, you go to hell forever? I mean, those are two mutually exclusive expressions. That's impossible. That is impossible, right? So now, again, old Stephen Gaskin, the hippie teacher, saying religion should not insult your intelligence. So if we look at that, we go, wait a minute, this can't be right. This cannot be right. This is the outcome of, again, when you were a kid, did you play the game telephone when you were in
yeah,
school?
yeah,
Well, do you remember what happened?
yeah. Of course, I mean, without fail, you're gonna get the wrong message on the end of the line.
By like three people in.
Yeah,
Right? So if you get thousands of people interpreting, let's say, the morality of a religion over thousands of years, right? You're probably going to get a little mixed up. You know what I
right.
mean? So
And
this is
then just for me, how many different versions of Christianity alone, there's so many different like versions, just variations of just Christianity, and that kind of added to that. This is clearly just everyone interpreting things differently, and so
well, that's
who's
why
right?
for youth, I studied all the mystical expressions of all the major world religions with the understanding that then they're like transparencies. So
Hmm.
you put the transparencies on top of each other, and where the holes go through in all the transparencies, you can probably use that as a foundation,
Didn't he
right?
say something like that in The Life of Pi? Didn't he say something like that? That he's not one religion, but he took all these different religions, and
Yes, in
I
the beginning.
remember,
See, I
yeah,
saw, I read the book, so
okay,
yeah, but he was experimenting. He was
yeah,
like, right, which I think everybody should do.
hmm,
I think that we should be apprised of the good and the bad and the ugly of the only expression of our kind which allows us a relationship with forever. You understand? It's the only one. It's the only one.
and I
Philosophy does not do that. Science does
yeah,
not do that. It doesn't. It
and
doesn't.
I think that's kind of why I brought this all up is because that is one thing that helps people look to the next future, to the next generations. You know, if you're stupid and you're just a backwards and you don't think about anything, at least maybe that can help you look for just your daughters and your sons and their daughters and sons. You know.
Everyone would think, yes.
Yeah.
Well, of course, again, Christ saying, "Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart. Thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself." On this rests all the laws of all the prophets. That is an astonishing statement, and man, that goes through every single religion I've ever checked out.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah, it's the golden rule, right? Oh no, that's not.
No. The golden rule is do unto others as you would have others do unto you. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right? And the fact is they are both astonishingly, profoundly valid, right? If we worked with that, then it doesn't matter how different we are, see, right? You can have pink hair and I can have, purple hair and, I can wear a dress if I want. It doesn't matter if I'm good. It doesn't matter if you're good, yes? If I treat you, right, as myself, if you treat me as yourself, and this is not difficult, the rigor of it is. And, my joke, Alex, for years has been every time I'm on Sirius Road, I am not loving my neighbor as myself.
Hi.
Right? Right? Now I'm shaking my fist and doing New York. Yeah?
Yeah. Or when a neighbor is being too loud and obnoxious, it's hard to, and you have to live next to them, that's also hard,
Indeed.
So there's rigors of it, but that doesn't mean the whole thing is tarnished or bad.
Well done. That is exactly right. That is exactly right. Yes? Now, do I think that jerking off is going to send you to hell? No. No. If anything, if we can normalize that, for God's sake, poor men, right, will not be so goddamn bound up about sexuality. It's like, if we treat it like blowing your nose, what's the big fucking deal? Yes? Right? I think if you consciously, like I knew a guy in my youth who wanted to go to Vietnam because he wanted to see what it was like to kill another human being, right? That would be called evil, dude.
Yeah, that's evil.
Fucked up. That is wrong. You dig? Right? So again, what we're going to do is reconsider all this stuff. Yeah? Remember the joke of, I don't know if you ever heard this joke where a nun comes upon a couple of kids and they're all whacking off. And she goes, that's going to make you go blind. And one of the kids goes, "We know, sister. We're just going to do it till we need glasses."
That's pretty good. Yeah. So I really like that the distinction between truly bad stuff, like, because you said, though, this is truly evil, okay. and then there's a lot of stuff that's not truly bad or good that has been mixed together, and we just have to kind of use common sense to lay it all down and figure out what is right and wrong.
Right. And this is why finally real religious expression and inquiry is the most private thing in all of life. The most private thing. It is, as it should be. There was a famous Neoplatonist quasi-Christian guy named Plotinus. And he said the religious quest is the journey of the alone to the alone. Right? Isn't that fine? Isn't that fine?
Yeah, because I mean, I've always heard this throughout my whole life, not spiritually, just I don't want to die alone. I don't want to die alone. I want to have,
die alone. Shit.
Yeah. So that's never made sense to me. I'm like, why would you care so much if you literally have to die alone? Like. Well, but I mean, I guess
try not dying alone. I'm sorry. Yes, you got the point, right? Well, the fact is, and I do want to go into this with more. I would like to spend a couple of entire times, right? And the fact is that is also true in life. Again, all of this, and even though we cannot conceive of it, all of the infinity of space and the eternity of time has been given to you alone, because the body separates you from everything else, right? The paradox is that it's also been given to me alone, yes? And the miracle is that we can share about this. Mm-hmm. That's astonishing. All of that, all of the above is astonishing. But again, if we want a reference of, again, the majesty of life, yeah, let's go as far as the Milky Way galaxy, because that we can conceive of. Yes? Well,
Mhm.
the Milky Way galaxy is your backyard, dude.
Yeah. I mean,
Now,
it
is it not?
baffles me. No, I mean, especially here too, because we live in New Mexico and we have such a beautiful, amazing, milky sky at nighttime. But
But even if you're in Manhattan, where you can only see this much of the sky, is it not true that we are in the Milky Way galaxy? That
hi,
is real.
yeah,
That's
it's true.
true,
Yeah,
right? Well, again, the fact is that means that we have relationship with the Milky Way galaxy.
yeah,
Well, again, isn't that a little bit vaulted, for Christ's sake? Isn't that a little bit magnificent? I mean, just a little bit.
yeah.
Just
I mean,
a bit, you know?
space is the most, magnificent, majestic and scary and immense thing.
Hi,
No,
hi.
but I think that's what happens kind of when we look up at the stars, as we remember how connected we are with that entity, that experience, that thing up there, and we for
Totality.
a second,
Yes,
yeah,
that's
and
totality. You dig?
and it's
Yes.
like it's almost like a subconscious thing, but people love to look up the stars and just say, "Oh, it's so big," or "I'm so small," or whatever it is, But I think it's them putting that together, that
Well,
subconsciously.
once again, that is the standard reaction with almost everybody I've ever known. Whenever I look up at the stars, it makes me feel small and insignificant. Yes,
Mhm.
that's the standard response to looking up in
Yeah,
the stars, right? Well, again, because of the astonishing distances that we cannot even conceive of, we are seeing galaxies as the size of a head of a pin. I mean, isn't that kind of like remarkable?
yeah, yeah, and it's like the opposite. It's like we have the viewing point of the universe,
Right,
Yeah.
right, right, right. Now, this is real. You understand? This is not mysticism. This
Mhm.
is just the facts. This is just the facts. So, again, we can come back to what already is with a renewed openness to it, a renewed consideration. And as you already know, when we shed the tiny little limiting definitions that we put on everything, right? Life begins to get bigger and bigger and bigger. And the astonishing thing is, it becomes more and more and more beautiful.
Yeah, I was at work on Sunday doing my double, and I step outside for a minute because it started raining, and I just was looking around, and I had one of those completely fresh experiences where you're not coming with anything, and
Hi,
it was
hi,
almost kind of like being an alien looking at Earth,
hi, hi.
and I was
Well,
and even it was even taking away all reality. Like if reality was nothingness, like if nothing made any, like it's hard to articulate, but basically what it came to is like, how what an incredible expression of reality,
hi,
whatever this is, if it's a
hi,
simulation, if it's God
hi. It's
experiencing
all
himself,
of the above.
whatever,
All of the above. Hi.
yeah, but just how incredible, how we all have these different, just unique variations, but we can share it together, and all these, and everyone's on their own different path each day. And like I was just watching it, and it was very, it was beautiful. It was a, I don't want to say magic, but it was I don't know what the word would be, but it was a
See, the word
refreshing,
we use is miraculous.
miraculous. It felt miraculous, definitely.
Right, right. No shit, because it
Yeah,
is miraculous. Again, no, it's not miraculous, Chris. Christ Almighty is just rain. What do you mean, just rain? Right? Again, according to the astrophysicists, it rained on planet Earth for like millions of years. Well, I mean, how in the fuck does any of this stuff happen? The
yeah,
answer is, I don't know.
seriously. Hi.
Right? So, well done, Alex. Understand, dude, this is the reward of you investing in these ideas for these years.
Hi.
There is a reward. There is, right?
Yeah.
So, check this
It's
out. No, go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
it's just like being fresh, just being able to look at things fresh and
Excellent.
unencumbered.
Hi. Because it is fresh in every moment.
Hi.
And this is Gollum saying, I like it fresh and wriggling. That's, yeah,
Yeah.
I like life fresh and wriggling. This is
Hi.
Krishnamurti talking to a guy who said that he was enlightened. And Krishnamurti says, if you take a handful of ocean water, out of the ocean and put it in your hand, it's not really the ocean anymore. It's ocean water,
Yeah.
but it's not the ocean. Meaning, if you take this event and you bring it down into these tiny little ideas that we can actually comprehend, right? We lose the majesty of it.
Right. No, it makes sense.
Right? And then
Yeah.
life becomes painful and mundane. And then we
Yeah.
get back to life's a bitch and then you die. Yes.
It kind of reminds me of a Plato's cave allegory. But if you were
No
only
shit.
to see the little handful of water your whole life, you would
Hi.
never know how immense the ocean was, you know?
And instead of looking at the shadows on the wall of the cave, well done, Alex. Very good. That's very good. Right?
Yeah. So, but you were gonna say something. I interrupted you. You were gonna say you said listen. You said you were about to say something. I interrupted you.
Well, again, the ideas come so fast that I can't remember what I wanted to say. It doesn't matter. What you said was more to the point. And yes, for Western people, that is precisely what Plato meant when he talked about looking at shadows on the wall of the cave. You got to come out of the cave. Yes? And the cave is our puny little ideas about what's what. Now, for us to have ideas about how to build a house or how to fix a car or how to raise a child, all of that is good. That is good. But we do not apply that same reference to the mystery of the Milky Way galaxy. Yes?
See, I think what happens to a lot of us is we become good at something like our job or like whatever, and then we get this ego filled in us, and we're like, oh, I know things.
Hi.
I know how to do things. I don't need to know that, or I don't need to explore that, or or I don't
Hi.
need to look beyond my own perspective now. I don't need to go any farther.
And that is such a terrible, again, I think I told you that recently a peer said to me, for those of us who've been around the block, right? And I said, yeah, but you know what? We keep going around the same block. There's a whole city out there. Yeah,
Seriously. Yeah.
So, and that is, again, I think encompassing exactly what you're talking about. So we need to disengage. We need to come back to question about, again, we talk about sunrise. Well, both you and I know the sun doesn't rise, the planet turns.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And again, we are not being warmed at dawn by the sun. We are being warmed every morning by a star.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really happening.
And the warmth of that star is touching your face. It's just
Right,
touching your face just so enough that it doesn't burn you, but it
right.
actually sustains you,
It actually sustains you and sustains all the other things that you eat in order to live,
Yeah.
right? Well, again, if that is just a question of changing wording, for God's sake. You understand what I'm saying,
Mhm.
right? And this is, again, are there really new worlds to discover? You fool, we have exhausted nothing, nothing, right? We have not exhausted a dead apple tree leaf in autumn. We have not begun to exhaust that. Yes?
Yeah.
Right? And that spreads out into everything that we witness, that we sense, that we hear, that we taste, everything.
Yeah.
And in turning, go ahead.
Continue. No, I want to hear.
Well, in returning to this, right, again, with more and more consistency, right, then it ceases to be valid ideas and it becomes living truth. You understand? Now, when it becomes living truth, you can return to it in the now. You understand? This is why the now is so important, right? And get fed. You dig? Get nourishment, where life then is renewed. The beauty of it, the mystery of it, the majesty of it, the miracle of it is renewed in any mind moment. And in that, life then becomes, even with old age, illness, and death, right, a remarkable gift. You feel me?
Yeah.
Pardon my adamance, but for God's sake, yes?
Yeah. I think for me, what primed me so well to these ideas, or at least a little bit to a small degree, was watching hours and hours of like David Attenborough and Planet Life or Planet Earth and all that stuff, and seeing just how intricate and sophisticated and intelligent, which is obviously a dumb one, is an obvious one, but intelligent and all of these things the and complex and diverse, so diverse and complex and everything. It was just like, yeah, like we have wasted nothing, even on this planet. When people say they want to go to space, I'm like we have so much work to do here.
Even on this planet?
Yeah.
Right? Yes, it's a planet. It's a
Yeah.
planet.
Yeah, I don't even, it once when we start to do the thing where we take away ideas, yeah, the planet is like I don't even understand how to rationalize it because we're just protected by little, what is it, atoms or neutrons or particles. We're protected by particles. There's a space of
By the way,
particles.
I have been wrong for a long time. It is not 7 miles of atmosphere. It's like 50 miles of atmosphere. I didn't know that. I
50,
didn't
yeah,
know. I just found that out with the billionaires going into space. I didn't
yeah,
know. Oh, that's very, so we're a lot more protected than we thought.
yeah,
Yes,
yeah,
fact is, for this manifestation of, again, this refuge. Remember, there's that Buddhist thing about while you cannot hang a sword in empty space.
yeah.
What happens if you try to hang a sword in empty space?
It'll fall.
It'll fall down. Right? While you cannot hang a sword in empty space, the river of stars floats a refuge. And this refuge, this
What it
planet
made me.
is a refuge.
It really did. It really is. And what you were saying before, when we can look out at the stars, and they're millions of miles away, but they're little pin drops. It
Hi.
made me think of Asgard and Thor and the Rainbow Bridge.
Hi,
And
hi, hi.
we basically live on that. We basically have this like Garden of Eden that we can look out at the cosmos at anywhere in the cosmos as little pinpoints, but we could put, we could point that one pinpoint out, focus a telescope at it, and see a planet millions and millions of miles away. And we're basically living on like this Asgard, this rainbow bridge. That
So far away that what we are viewing are light particles that occurred millions of years ago that took all that time to make it to our eyes.
so it's almost like it's almost like a godly power too, because we're not even looking at a real time. We're looking millions of years into the
Right,
past.
right,
Yeah.
right. All of this is stunningly miraculous. And again, because we have habituated to it, right? And again, because of again our preoccupation with, like all the species, the basics: shelter, food, for us, clothing, right, and procreation. Yeah, that is our endless preoccupation. Again, we cease to take in the majesty of what we are surrounded by and the beauty of that majesty. And then we're basically, no matter how much food we eat, we are starving existentially.
Hmm.
We are starving to death existentially. Yes?
Hmm.
And again, the sorrow here is none of this is necessary. It's just not necessary.
Yeah,
And
it's a
this,
waste of time.
huh?
Waste of time.
Oh, waste of
Yeah,
life.
yeah, waste of life.
Waste of life, man. Shit. And we don't have that much time.
Hi.
Right? And that's why it's so heartbreaking. And this is why it is important and particularly for you to remind your peers, right, in your 20s, that the way we have been trained to look at life is a terrible misconception. Terrible. Heartbreaking. Heartbreaking. Right? And that we can change our minds very easily. Very easily.
And
Oh,
it doesn't have to be an affront against your being. It doesn't have to, compromise your person or your character. Like
no, it
it's
doesn't
just
have to.
balance.
No, if anything, it ennobles what you are, for Christ's sake. Yes,
I
it
think
really
people like
does.
my hunter friend, he would say that not ennobles him, but it doesn't, not the opposite but of ennobles, but I don't think he would say it ennobles him. They don't look at it like that. They being kind to other creatures and respecting
I
their,
know.
they
Sorry,
look at
my
it as
answer to that is
weakness.
can't fix stupid. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
They
Once
look at it as,
again, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. My reference with my cat was again that I was less than gentle with my cat, and my vibe was angry and resentful and impatient, and it scared him because
mhm,
he's been so mistreated by other human beings, right?
yeah.
Which makes me ashamed. You understand? I fucked up. I know that I fucked up. So the next 3 times now that I've had to change his duct tape dressing, right? I've done it with great gentleness, and as I said, his reaction with that let me know that it's cool because he purrs the whole way. He doesn't like it. He does not like it, man, but he tolerates it because again, he is at ease with me.
Yeah, he knows you're not trying to hurt him now.
Which is why again I am ashamed of fucking up. So I won't do that again. I will not do that again. Will I do it with other beings? Probably, right? So do I need to be awake to the fact that I have that tendency? Yes, I do. Now, do I need to beat myself up about that? No, I need to save the energy to not do it again.
Yeah.
Right? Right? That's all. That's all. Yeah. And, this is Krishnamurti saying, we all think we shouldn't be angry. And we all are angry. So then we waste all this energy on being guilty about being angry instead of trying to do something about being angry.
Yeah, try to find some happiness.
Yeah, or to find a mechanism where if we become angry, we recognize it, right? And then we witness it enough that it dissipates.
Hi. And we have talked about that in prior episodes of these conversations, definitely. But just how to come back to the here and now and assess the true goods and bads and really reassess what is happening to you at that moment and if it is really that bad or
impact on others. Yes.
Yeah,
yes. Hi. Now, by the way, that is a very, very worthy, noble way to spend a little bit of lifespan.
Hi. Because one thing that I see a lot of us doing, and I fall into it too, is we'll get angry about just life, about nothing, and then we'll take it out on people that are around us. Like my mom. Yeah, exactly. And then they probably, and it's like a butterfly effect. I'm sure that doesn't make them happier. I'm sure they don't go through life happier. And so it's really about nothing. And so being able to check yourself, reassess, and say, what is this truly that bad? Okay, maybe I shouldn't be an asshole to everybody, or like all these things.
Well done. You see, so by the way, this is a living moral endeavor. It's living. It is not a checklist. You dig? It's like, how can I be good in this here and now, which is absolutely unique and therefore has its own specific requirements for an expression of goodness. Yes? Right? It's a living thing. It's alive. Yeah? Huh?
And that's kind of how I view what is the word critical thought is that all of these these things are all living and they're all changing and you can't use the same tactics to understand each one or the same tactics to label each one. You have to reassess each one and give them their own label specifically based upon the characteristics, if that makes sense.
Right. If you have a goldfish in a bowl with water in it, that doesn't mean you're going to put your cat in that bowl, right?
Yeah.
For sake, yeah. Well, you're right. See, this is are using cognition, critical thought, the way it's supposed to be used, right? In a benign, focused way. And the outcome of that will be, again, you do good because it feels good. You will experience various and sundry expressions of joy.
And I think, like, more and more, that stuff is kind of seeping into the how the world is changing for the better. People are coming to these terms of like, okay, we have to actually, think like that. Like, how can we make things better? And not just for, for a gain, for monetary gain, but for the next people,
or other beings like the fish that are dying because the water is too hot, right? Now, again, we are also at a time where we've gained the knowledge base where, things can be cloned.
Yeah.
Which is an astonishing parallel capacity as we are, hopefully reaching the end of tearing everything down, which is what we've done for the past 500 years, right? I mean, and, in part, we are not to blame because we have only gained being at the top of the food chain in like the past couple of 100 years, within the 10,000 years that we have been here as Homo sapien, we've been way, way, way down on the food chain. Shit. Well, it's like make you a little paranoid, a little nutty. You know what I mean?
Yeah. What do you think it was the tipping point? Like guns or?
Guns,
Yeah,
absolutely.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Guns, guns. Spears started it. Boy, you can do a hell of a lot with a spear. Yeah, you know.
So there's a great Japanese movie that I saw years ago, and it's always stuck with me. And I actually watched it again recently. It's a cartoon, but this guy, he's in a village, and this demon comes, and it infects him on his arm, so he has to go figure out what it is. Well, he goes on this amazing quest, and he figures out what's happening is these people have gotten guns, and so they're now not afraid of the forest spirits anymore. So they're tearing down all the wood and destroying the forest. And what they did is they shot one of the he was a forest spirit pig. He was this great forest spirit pig. Shot him, and the bullet infected his heart and turned him into this monster. And that's what came to his village. But the whole thing is about at the end of the movie, the humans they find the forest spirit, the main forest spirit, and they cut its head off, and they end the the spirit world basically. They close off the spirit world, but it's all about these people who with the new power of guns are able to finally compete against the forest spirits, and so they finally take dominion over everything. And the main character is this guy who kind of has to be in the middle of it, trying to stop it all and being on both sides, but he's not able to stop. It's an incredible movie, beautifully, beautifully well done, and the story is amazing. But it's what we were just talking about. But
You're absolutely right.
yeah,
Absolutely right. But again, even if we fail, the fact is that hugging trees is the requirement of our time. Yes, it is. It is. So even if we fail, it is a noble endeavor. It's a noble endeavor. You understand?
yeah,
And again, if we allow our understanding that we are all sentient beings. That means we have commonality here on this planet. If nothing else, that expands our experience of life exponentially.
yeah,
Exponentially. That would be the reward.
yeah,
Yes?
yeah. And boredom is such a petty idea in light of all of these things we
Right.
just talked about. You know?
Hi, seriously. I mean, on a certain level, it's like, Jesus Christ, how dare you be bored? Holy
Yeah.
shit. I mean, what's the matter with you? Yes? I? Oh.
No, I agree.
All right, dude, we're getting up there.
All
So
right.
did this get taped?
Yeah, I recorded it.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool, cool,
Yeah, I
cool.
started about I missed a couple sentences of your very first spiel about animals, but I got most of it.
Hi, 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 hi. And remember, this is not just about my spiel, it is about our spiel, right? And again, since we know that we are not working with pat answers, what we are doing is we are resuscitating more potent questions. You dig? Right? That this is about the back and forth between you and me. And I like the fact that you are now responding, right, with more and more and more question. That is the thing that will take us into accept ye be as little children. You understand what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah. And more and more and more, I do begin to understand that it is not answers that enlarges life. It is more and more potent considered questions that
Yeah.
opens up life. And of course, that is all of Chan Zen Buddhism.
Okay.
That's what it's about. Yes?
And and as throughout my all of my writing, learning that asking questions is always better than giving an answer, and
Indeed.
it's always helped me explore my ideas more.
Right.
And so writing has definitely helped me explore all these ideas and think about them more and just munch on them.
This is what's called Socratic method. Socrates did not tell Plato and the gang, he didn't never gave them answers ever. What he did was he deepened questions so much that there was awakenings to how could I have been so limited in my thinking about this? There is a vignette in one of Mary Renault's books where the first time Plato met Socrates, Plato was taking a play that he had written to enter it into one of the holy festivals to maybe be played out for the masses. Yeah. So there's Socrates, and they start talking, and Socrates asks such more potent questions about the play that Plato had written that Plato took the play home and burned it, and then became Socrates' student.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And I just heard someone say, he said, when you give your first draft to friends and family to read, tell them, don't give me what's good and bad. Give me questions. What didn't you understand? What don't you,
Hi.
just ask me
Hi.
questions about it.
Hi.
And that's the best way to kind of feedback.
No, that is true as far as building writing. That is absolutely true. But what we are talking about is building an existential foundation where we again receive nourishment from these ideas. You understand? Yes.
And so the question is ask questions.
Hi.
And that's how we get there.
And by the way, this is what Zen Koan is all about. They Krishnamurti. Listen, Alex, check it. Did you look at what meditation is not? That is the title of the video, and it's only 4 minutes.
I'll check it out. What meditation is not? Yeah,
So
I'll pull it up right now.
Hi. Yeah,
Cool.
Can you bring it up on your screen?
I don't think I can bring it up on my screen, no, but I'll watch it. I'll pull it up, and then it's called What Meditation Is Now?
Is not. Hi.
Is not. What meditation is not.
Right. And you put Krishnamurti in there, right?
Yeah. Yeah, Krishnamurti, yeah. First one popped up. Cool, yeah, it's right here.
Okay. Now, can you play it? Because we still have a little bit of time.
I don't think the audio will come through because I have these headphones on and everything.
I don't care. I just want you to look at it, and I just like your take on it. And I'll keep talking at you, right? To keep any audience entertained. But at one point he says meditation is again disengaging from the known. That's what meditation is. Well, that's what Koan practice does. Right? Show me your original face even before your parents bore you. That right? And the answer is I can't. I don't know how to do that. So up against that wall, you immediately come up against that wall where your ideas, right, don't work. So then you are in a state of openness. I'm sorry. Are you checking it out?
Yeah. It's hard to listen to both of you guys at the same time.
Go ahead.
Achieve
I can hear his voice.
You can?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. So if you can hear it, that means they can probably hear it.
Now, first of all,
To me,
that's the whole idea of systems method implies mechanical repetition. And that is not meditation. Now, is it possible to not to make the mind dull by repetition, but to be aware of this movement of thought?
which is the roller coaster.
Mm-hmm.
Without trying to control them, but just to be aware of this whole momentum of thinking, this chattering going on.
Chattering, yes?
Exactly, yeah.
You verbalize
That's it. Okay? Thought exists only in words or in images.
But you see, there's the old punch joke about the old lady asked what she did, and she said, sometimes I sit and thinks, and sometimes I just sit. When she's just sitting, is she meditating?
No. It's just vague,
Mhm.
or
Yeah.
lost in some kind of fancy. That's not meditation, but thought. Discipline,
Great discipline, yeah, exactly.
Right?
not the discipline of suppression or conformity. The discipline that comes when you observe your thinking, when there is an observation of thought, that very observation brings about its own extraordinary subtle discipline. That absolute.
Love Krishnamurti. Yeah.
Any old time.
I like how you had to think about it for a second.
But Alex, this is us talking about you can do it when you're standing online at the supermarket. Yes,
Yeah,
any
exactly.
old time. We do it any old time. You did it when you took a break at work.
Yeah.
That's you doing it, dude, right? And you come back into plenitude. You come back into abundance. Most extraordinary, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, it doesn't. I like how he made that distinction, or actually the interviewer made that question. But there's a big difference between sitting at your house and being lazy, opposed to you can meditate anywhere. It doesn't matter where you're meditating, but you
Hi.
actually have to be doing the discipline of meditation. You know.
Hi, which is watching the roller coaster of random thought, the insubstantial drifting mind, the chattering, and then
Yeah.
going, you know what? I'm not going to do this.
Hmm.
Right? You can go on, but I'm not going to pay attention to you. It's like traffic in a city. Very quickly, you do not hear the sound of the traffic. We have this capacity. So you don't have to stop the chattering mind, the roller coaster of random thought. You just, as Ken Kesey, turn around, walk away, and say, fuck it. You don't invest in it anymore. You just don't. Yes? Right? So, but I'm interrupting him. So did you turn it off, or is it still going?
He has about let's see, he has about a minute left to go. So let's finish it.
Well, listen, I kind of ruined it for you, so check it out again because it's so amazingly important what he's talking about.
I'll watch it again, definitely.
All right.
But it was good. It's really good, and I like the interview's question. Oliver Hunken, he was good too. So
Yes, well, he's very serious. You see, this human being is serious, right? It's like you can see from his face. It's like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? Right?
yeah, seriously.
I know it's important. And I see the joy in this man's eyes when he's talking about this stuff, right?
And he has humor with his questions, but he's not belittling. He's not belittling him or saying his ideas are stupid. He's like, what are these ideas? You know?
Right. And Krishnamurti in his answers are doing it with that beautiful little smile, that little smile he has, right? You know, because again, on a certain level, the lovely thing is when we talk about this stuff, right? We get high.
Yeah.
High. Yeah, it's a really nice high. It's one of those natural highs we've been hearing so much about, right? You know, and the FDA can't touch it.
Yeah, that's when life actually shines, you know? Life can shine, you know?
Indeed, right? Sheer existence itself is such a gas, I can hardly stand it. That's Stephen Gaskin, yeah? And it's true. And you get this. You see, you get it. So now the thing is, this can be deepened and deepened and deepened and deepened and deepened to a point where, again, you are living in a state of gladness of heart as your return, instead of life's a bitch and then you die as your return.
And I have seen people live like that, so I know it is possible, and looks much more desirable than living a life of just crappy thoughts and bitching all the time.
Hi, Christ, what a terrible thing to do, right? It's like, you know, putting powdered shit on all your food, you know, right? And then wondering why everything tastes like shit.
Yeah, and we all do that all the time.
All right, my dear man. So I'll see you tomorrow for Qigong, and we'll see what happens, man, with this. Again, the rain is so good for northern New Mexico that I don't give a shit. Also, you know me, between you and I, I'm also getting a lot of work done on the swords, which is really cool.
Yeah, I've been able to work a lot. I'm finishing up a script for a small short movie, like 30-minute movie. So I'll finish that up, and then I've been working. It's been good. So I've appreciated the time too.
Hi. And dude, seize the time, because pretty soon you're gonna have to be working pretty much, you know, 9 to jive. That's gonna happen again, right? So seize the time, yo. Yeah. Okay. So I'll let you know, probably at the end of the weekend, based on what it looks like. And the maddening thing is, while it's enough to make the wood wet, I still have to water because it's not a prolonged enough rain to actually soak into the earth. You know?
It just comes in for a second and then it goes.
and as we both know, it refreshes the air beautifully, and it's not so damn hot, right?
Yeah, it's been awesome. It's been like a really amazing year in terms of weather for us, you know.
Hi, and benign by and large for us.
Yeah, seriously.
Unlike everywhere else, right?
Yeah.
We are so fortunate. God, we are fortunate. Yeah. So anyway, my dear man, love to you, and I'll
love you too, man.
Okay.
All right, have a good day.